welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and it's getting to be road trip season, so Jill and I picked some new-ish audiobooks for a road trip. So Jill, kick us off.
So my first one, if you want to have a good time on your road trip and have some fun and not too serious, we have Emily Henry's Funny Story. This was published last year, and it was actually the winner for the reader's favorite audiobook on Goodreads last year, so it's going to be a good one. Daphne always loved the way her fiancé Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love over an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He was really good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra. Which is how Daphne begins her new story, stranded in beautiful Wanning Bay, Michigan, without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian that barely pays the bills, and proposing to be roommates with the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Novak. Scruffy and chaotic with a penchant for taking solace in the sounds of heartbreak love ballads, Miles is exactly the opposite of practical button-up Daphne, whose coworkers know so little about her that they have a running bet that she's either FBI or in the witness protection. The roommates mainly avoid one another until one day, while drowning in their sorrows, they form a tenuous friendship and a plan. If said plan also involves posting deliberately misleading photos of summer adventures together, well, who could blame them? But it's all for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex, right? Funny story.
Still haven't read an Emily Henry, but maybe I should listen to that one.
I think that might be a good one to start
with. And I picked a thriller for my first one, and this is The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger. This was published last year. A couple inherits an apartment with a spine-tingling past in this binge-worthy thriller from the New York Times best-selling author of Secluded Cabin, Sleep 6. Rosie and Chad Lowen are barely making ends meet in New York City when they receive life-changing news. Chad's late uncle has left them his luxury apartment at the historic Windermere in glamorous Murray Hill. With its pre-war elegance and impeccably uniformed doorman, the building is the epitome of old New York charm. One would almost never suspect the dark history lurking behind its perfectly maintained facade. At first, the building and its eclectic tenants couldn't feel more welcoming. But as the Lowens settle into their new home, Rosie starts to suspect there's more to the Windermere than meets the eye. Why is the doorman ever present? Why are there cameras everywhere? And why have so many gruesome crimes occurred there throughout the years? When one of the neighbors turns up dead, Rosie must get to the truth about the Windermere before she, too, falls under its dangerous spell. So if you want to listen to a thriller while you're taking a road trip, The New Couple in 5B.
Keep you guessing as the miles keep going. Sally Rooney, another favorite. This is Intermezzo. This was nominee for the reader's favorite audiobook, but not the winner for Goodreads. An exquisitely moving story about grief, love, and family, but especially love from the global phenomenon, Sally Rooney. Aside from the fact that they are brothers, Peter and Ivan Kubek seem to have little in common. Peter is a Dublin lawyer in his 30s, successful, competent, and apparently unassailable. But in the wake of their father's death, he's medicating himself to sleep and struggling to manage his relationships with two very different women. His enduring first love, Sylvia, and Naomi, a college student for whom life is one long joke. Ivan is a 22-year-old competitive chess player. He has always seen himself as socially awkward, a loner, the antithesis of this glib elder brother. Now, in the early weeks of his bereavement, Ivan meets Margaret, an older woman emerging from her own turbulent past, and their lives become rapidly and intensely intertwined. For two grieving brothers and the people they love, this is a new interlude, a period of desire, despair, and possibility, a chance to find out how much one life might hold inside itself without breaking. Intermezzo. Could have been a sibling story a few weeks ago.
Runner-up. My next pick is Hotel California, and this is an anthology of mystery short stories. And this is a few years old. This came out in 2022. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. Expect and enjoy the unexpected when you hit play on this gripping collection delivered by a cast of narrators. A dangerous drifter, a hired gun, a grisly corpse. You never know who you'll run into at the Hotel California. 8 talented mystery authors have lent their skills of crafting murder and suspense to this collection of short stories. Each of these 8 provocative tales is designed to entertain and mystify and maybe even chill you to the core. Get lost in the wild imaginations of such New York Times best-selling writers as Andrew Child, Heather Graham, Reed Farrell Coleman, and John Gilstrap, plus authors Rick Bleiweiss, Jennifer Dornbush, Amanda Flower, and Don Bruns. From the tale, Hotel California, to a new original Jack Reacher adventure, these stories have a little something for every mystery lover. Go ahead, check in, enjoy some room service, and stay until the very last tantalizing page. Just don't forget to search the closet or behind the curtains.
Ooh.
So if you like short stories and maybe don't want a whole book to listen to, Hotel California.
That's fun doing a road trip sometimes. A little less commitment. Sometimes I like nonfiction books during, road trips. So I got this one. This is Charles Duhigg's Super Communicators, which is hard to read on that cover, but, considering it's about communication, that's kind of funny. How to Unlock the Secret Language of Connection. This was published in 2024. Who and what are super communicators? They're people who can steer a conversation to a successful conclusion. They're able to talk about difficult topics without giving offense. They know how to make others feel at ease and share what they think. They're brilliant facilitators and decision builders. But how do they do it? In this groundbreaking book, Charles Duhigg unravels the secrets of super communicators to reveal the art and science of successful communication. He unpicks the different types of everyday conversation and pinpoints why some go smoothly while others swiftly fall apart. He reveals the conversational questions and gambits that bring people together, and he shows how even the most tricky encounters can be turned around. In the process, he shows why a CIA operative was able to win over a reluctant spy, how a member of a jury got his fellow jurors to view an open and shut case differently, and what a doctor found they needed to do to engage with a vaccine skeptic. Above all, he reveals the techniques that we can all master to successfully connect with others, however tricky the circumstances. Packed with fascinating case studies and drawing on cutting-edge research, this book will change you in the way you think about how you say it and what you say. Well,
Super
communicators. So you can learn how to talk better, which I should listen to that.
And I know we've done this book before as a pick, but I also picked Northwoods by Daniel Mason as a road trip audio book. This was a Goodreads Choice Award and nominee for readers' favorite historical fiction back in 2023. It's a sweeping novel about a single house in the woods of New England, told through the lives of those who inhabit it across the centuries. It's a daring, moving tale of memory and fate from the Pulitzer Prize finalist and author of The Piano Turner and The Winter Soldier. When a pair of young lovers abscond from a Puritan colony, little do they know that their humble cabin in the woods will become home to an extraordinary succession of inhabitants. An English soldier, destined for glory, abandons the battlefields of the New World to devote himself to apples. A pair of spinster twins survive war and famine only to succumb to envy and desire. A crime reporter unearths a mass grave but finds the ancient trees refuse to give up the secrets. A lovelorn painter, a con man, a stalking panther, a lusty beetle. As each one confronts the mysteries of the Northwoods, they come to realize that the dark, raucous, beautiful past is very much alive. Traversing cycles of history, nature, and even literature, Northwood shows the myriad magical ways in which we're connected to the environment and to one another across time, language, and space. It's written along with the seasons and divided into the 12 months of the year. It's an unforgettable novel about secrets and fates that ask the timeless, how do we live on even after we're gone? So,
I think it's unfair the cover that got.
yeah, I know. It deserves something better, I think. But Northwoods by Daniel Mason.
It was a very good one. I recommend. And I listened to that one too, and it was a good listen. Like the voice is good and stuff. Okay, so if you didn't put this on hold last year, you're one of the minority.
Got to be Kristen Hanna.
The women. This was probably the one put on hold the most last year. But this is the audiobook, and I did not have to wait long for this, so you can get this one right away if you want to listen to it. Women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frances Frankie McGrath hears those words, it is a revelation. Raised in the sun-drenched, idyllic world of the Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships off to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. As green and inexperienced as a man sent to Vietnam to fight, Frankie is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of war. Each day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant. In war, she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. But war is just the beginning for Frankie and her veteran friends. The real battle lies in coming home in the changed and divided America, the angry protesters, and the country that wants to forget Vietnam. The Woman is the story of one woman gone to war, but it shines a light on all women who put themselves in harm's way and whose sacrifice and commitment to their country has too often been forgotten. A novel about deep friendships and bold patriotism. The Woman is a richly drawn story with memorable heroine whose idealism and courage under fire will come to define an era. So, The Women by Kristen Hanna. If you want to cry on your road trip.
Yeah. My next pick is for Hamilton fans. This is The Girl from Greenwich Street, a novel of Hamilton, Burr, and America's First Murder Trial by Lauren Willig. This came out this year. Based on the true story of a famous trial, this novel is law in 1800, as Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr investigate the shocking murder of a young woman who everyone and no one seemed to know. At the start of a new century, a shocking murder transfixes Manhattan, forcing bitter rivals Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr to work together to save a man from the gallows. Just before Christmas 1799, Elma Sands slips out of her Quaker cousin's boarding house, and she doesn't come home. Has she eloped? Has she run away? No one knows until her body appears in the Manhattan well. Her family insists they know who killed her. Handbills circulate around the city accusing a carpenter named Levi Weeks of seducing and murdering Elma. But privately, quietly, Levi's wealthy brother calls in a special favor. Aaron Burr's legal practice can't finance both his expensive tastes and his ambition to win the 1800 New York elections. And Alexander Hamilton has his own political aspirations. He isn't going to let Burr monopolize the public's attention. If Burr is defending Levi Weeks, then Hamilton will too. As the trial and the election draw near, Burr and Hamilton race against time to save a man's life and destroy each other. Part murder mystery, part thriller, part true crime. This audiobook revisits a dark corner of history with a surprising twist ending that reveals the true story of the woman who's at the center of this tale.
Wow, that one's a good one.
Yeah.
So my last one is a memoir. If you want to hear from Cher, this is part one, the memoir from Cher. This came out last year. The extraordinary life of Cher can be told by one person, Cher herself. After more than 70 years of fighting her life on her own terms, Cher finally reveals her true story in intimate detail in a 2-part memoir. And according to the back of this, she reads this, so that's pretty amazing. Her remarkable career is unique and unparalleled, the only woman to top Billboard charts in 7 consecutive decades. She's the winner of an Academy Award, an Emmy, a Grammy, and the Cannes Film Festival Award, and an inductee to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame who has been lauded by the Kennedy Center. She's a lifelong activist and philanthropist. As a dyslexic child who dreamed of becoming famous, Cher was raised in often chaotic circumstances surrounded by singers, actors, and a mother who inspired her in spite of their difficult relationship. With her trademark honesty and humor, Cher, the memoir, traces how this diamond in the rough succeeded with no plan and little confidence to become the trailblazing superstar the world has been unable to ignore for more than half a century. Part 1 follows her extraordinary beginnings through childhood meeting and marrying Sonny Bono and reveals the highly complicated relationship that made them world famous and eventually drove them apart. The memoir reveals the daughter, the sister, the wife, the lover, and the mother, and the superstar. It is a life too immense for only one book. So there will be a part 2 at some point. So Cher.
It'd be an interesting one to hear her life story. I know bits and pieces, but I don't know a lot about her.
The sunny part.
My last pick is popular author Nikki French. This is The Last Days of Kira Mullen, and this just got in the catalog in April. So just last month. From international best-selling master of suspense, Nikki French comes a chilling new psychological thriller about a woman determined to get justice for a murder no one else believes happened. Nancy North is ready to put her life back together. After suffering a psychotic break that ruined friendships, stalled her fledgling restaurant, and forced her to move out of her comfortable flat, she'll do anything to get back to normal. She and her partner Felix, who has been a saint through all her recent troubles, move into a new flat for a fresh start. Nancy is taking her pills, seeing her therapist, and avoiding unnecessary stress. She's doing absolutely everything right, but something is still very, very wrong. On the first day in the new flat, she hears them again, the mysterious voices that triggered her first episode. It could just be the unfamiliar sounds of water in the pipes or the crying baby across the hall, but deep down she knows something more sinister is going on. Her fears are confirmed when the young woman in the downstairs flat, Kira, is found dead. Felix, her neighbors, and even the police insist it's just a tragic suicide. But the pieces aren't adding up for Nancy. Can she trust her own instincts, or is it all in her head? Meanwhile, Detective Inspector Maud O'Connor has misgivings about her colleague's investigation of Kira Mullen. The boys' club at the top seems intent on closing the case as quickly as possible, especially since the only person who thinks it could be anything other than suicide is known to be unreliable. But Maud knows what it's like to be dismissed as an over-emotional woman and isn't so quick to discount Nancy's claims. As tensions reach an explosive breaking point, the line between fact and delusion becomes dangerously blurred, but Maud will stop at nothing to ensure that the truth comes to light. So, Nikki French, she's a popular author.
Very popular.
So very new to the catalog.
Well, if you have a road trip coming up, or if you just like audiobooks, all of these are available on CD, but they're probably also on Libby as well.
Yeah.
We hope we gave you some good ideas of what the new in audiobooks and what is fun to listen to.
You can find our videos on our Kimberly Public Library YouTube channel, Facebook page, and website. And until next time, Jill and I thank you for watching. Happy road tripping. Bye.